Okay, oh Jesus, take the wheel. I was about to get off of here because I need to do my hair. But let me explain something to y'all. This is in reference to anybody who did not listen to Democrats when we were talking about Project 2025 and everything that was going on and how a lot of this stuff is connected. All right. It's about the uber rich getting richer and looking out for their friends. All right. So, and honestly, I ain't mad at them because if you want to be stupid and let them step in and take taxpayer money to bail out their friends and to help and keep less fortunate down, and you didn't think it was important to get out there to vote or to make your voices heard, or if you voted and you did it through racism and now you're suffering, all I can do is say I'm gonna pray for you. Because literally one of the things after I did the video, I was getting coffee with a friend of mine. So we were sitting in Starbucks and it was only two of us. And next minute I know we were just talking because we were waiting for our coffee. And literally this other lady was like, it's like a booth, and she was sitting on the opposite side of the table doing, I guess she was doing some work. She was like, oh, it's crazy that you start talking about this because my mom and dad are farmers. And she said, I'm here now in your city because we're in the process of selling our farm. I'm like, what? We're like, are you serious? She was like, yeah. She said, I tried to tell him. I tried to tell him. She was like, they're going to be coming inside in a few minutes. She was like, but I tried to tell him. And she was like, can you please not talk about it? Because they are literally, she's like, I'm really concerned about my father, that he might pow himself. And I was like, what? Like, I heard that this happens, but mainly in a farming community. But I've never sat and heard somebody say that that is what they're worried about. Now, my background is social work. So, and then my friend, that's where I met her at. So we're hearing this and we're like, oh no. We were like, do you know? We told her what we do. And I said, yeah, I'm not actually working in it right now, but I think I'm good at it. So, and oh girl, she still works in it. So he comes in, he sits down, and he sits with her, and she was like, hey, and she was talking, and she told him, she's like, hey, Pops, this is so and so. And she's like, I just met them. And he was like, oh, hey. And he didn't think anything of it. And we were going to get up and leave, but we were like, I said, girl, no, we cannot. You know, anytime you hear anything like that, you get kind of like, if you're truly, I don't care if you're out of the game or not, you need to sit and try to communicate with this person. So we found out that he voted MAGA, and we found out that he also was like just in such despair. Like he was like, how could I do this to my family? His wife told us that she voted Democrat. His daughter voted, they're liberals, but they voted Democrat, mainly to save their farm. And I was like, what? But the father was adamant, like, no, I'm not voting for that woman. Because we asked him, I said, what was it about Kamala Harris that you just couldn't stand? Or that you just couldn't pull the lever for? He was like, honestly, he said, if you'd asked me this and the economy was going good and I was doing good, I wouldn't even probably answer you. He said, but he said, these farmers need to be honest with themselves. He said, I didn't vote for her because of her color and because she's a woman. I think I wanted to just fall off the bench. Because I was like, you know, like you lean over, like how I'm leaning right now. I'm leaning on my seat, but I was leaning over and just listening to him like, yo, like he just said what I didn't think nobody would ever say. And I was like, I said, so do you have a problem with people who are melanated? And he was like, I said, do you have a problem with us even communicating with you since you said basically her race and that she was a woman? He was like, no, I just don't think that black people should be in charge. Oh, Lord, let me tell y'all, I literally was just sitting there like, well, like, you know how they say the T. Let me tell y'all, we was sitting there like, and my friend, she's Caucasian. Yeah. So we were like sitting here like, whoa, like we didn't make like me, I have an issue with my face. I didn't want like I make facial expressions. But I was like, I kept doing like this to my face, like, girl, don't make no faces, don't make no faces, don't make no faces. And literally he just started going in telling us that most of the farmers that he know, the reason why they voted like that was because of race and because she's a woman. He said it's twofold. He said race and a woman. He said if she would have been a Caucasian woman and been a Republican, she probably could have got in office. He said, but because she was one, oh, and he did say because she was Democrat. And he voted straight, always voted Republican no matter what. And I said, and then before I could even say it, because I think my girl knew, because we used to work together. So I think she knew what I was about to say. And she said, so how is that working? And I was like, thank God she said it, because it would kind of sound weird coming from me, because, we're two different races. And it seemed like it was only them three and us two, and we're on the opposite side of the bench. But all of a sudden, other people started sitting down around us there and just started listening in. Like, yo, it became like 5 to 10 people. Yeah, and they literally were in there saying, and she said, how is that working out for you right now? She was like, how does it make you feel that your vote literally could be the reason that your family would have to, pack up, move back into a regular house? How does that make you feel? And he said, it makes me feel like trash. And he was like, and it just makes me not want to be here anymore. And it was like, I knew he was considering himself MAGA. The rest of the family didn't. But I realized in that moment, I said it was breaking my heart. Because it was like he was having a come to Jesus meeting in that moment. He was like, what did I do to my family? What did I do to our legacy? He said, and not only just that, he said, one of my he said he was in the military, and one of his old friends was saying to him, called him to check on him. He said, nobody in his race were calling, like his regular family would call and check on them and see how they were doing, but nobody of his race was calling him. No other farmers, like saying, yo, how are you doing? I'll just say Paul, for example. Nobody. He said, the only people that have been checking on his family have been his old military veteran friends, and the majority of them are people of color. He said, and that's the part when he just said, because he said he wasn't coming out the house or anything. And today was the first, maybe the second or first day that he came out. I couldn't remember exactly, because it was just so much. I felt like I was doing a psychosocial examination, and I knew I wasn't, but it was just kind of shocking. Yeah. To sit there and be like, wow, he was just coming out. And then I said to him, I said, so from this point on, what are you going to do to make a difference? He said, I'm never voting Republican ever again. He said, I'm going to see people like I saw them when I was in the military. He said, and I didn't see no race. He said, then was my boys. Then was my left and right, my 6, my 12, like that. He was like, you should have heard him. He said, I don't know what happened to me. He said, I don't know. When I got out the military, I lost my way. And he was like, and I noticed it's not an excuse, he said, but I did. And I said, but that's okay. As long as you know what you've done and you can correct it, I said, maybe there's hope for you. I said, you just never know. And I said, and I told him, I said, there are actual things out there for people. I said, there are people who will be willing to help you. I said, but you can't then ask for help and then turn back and go back to your old ways. I said, because those same people that probably called you and said, do you need any help? And wanted to help you out. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, what do they do for a living? And he was like, they're farmers. I said, what? So black farmers, his black farmer friend that was in the military with him, called him to check on him and basically was like, yo, do you need any help? What do you need? Yeah. Willing to give him loans, whatever, because they're doing good. Yeah. Because they basically told him that the black community, the Mexican community, and a lot of people around this black farmer have been coming to help him out, like supporting him. Because when he gets crops and stuff like that, he takes a certain portion of them and gives them to the community for free. Like he takes them to the shelters and stuff like that. And that man said in that moment, he was like, I've never done that. He always sold his stuff to the, companies, corporations. Yeah. So it was just, I said I had to get on here because I could not believe that just happened. And to know that it happened, I'm thinking some of these other farmers out here might need a come to Jesus meeting. And honestly, I know people are saying FAFO, but these farmers are a high population that have pow issues when it comes to losing their farms. So I'm just saying, pray for them. I don't care what political party they are in. Just pray for them and hope they can get their minds right and realize that they got to change their ways because God is watching. Y'all have a great day.